I've had a very terrible week. The landlord kicked me out. I was the perfect tenant. The only thing I didn't do was pay rent. And it really kind of affected him, you know what I mean? He was one of these guys, he had to be the winner. It was all about him. He said to me, Arwin, if you don't pay your rent, how am I going to pay my mortgage? I said, if you really get stuck, Frank, you can come and crash on the couch. I'll put you up, mate. Kind of guy I am. Mate, this year my grandfather died in a house fire. And I said to the funeral director, I said, I want to get a discount with the cremation. No, he's already half cooked. We're talking 60-40 charcoal. He said, no, it's $3,000. I said, it only cost me $5.40 to set the house on fire. If I'd known that, I would have taken him down to charcoal chicken. Put him on the rotisserie. I did use a scented candle after all. There's a shop in Coburg called Gary's Car Radio. I went in there and that was all that was in there. Just one car radio sitting on a stool. The guy said, don't touch that, it's Gary's. I bought a really big pair of pants and I was standing in one leg. Then I went to Woman's Weekly and said, look how much weight I've lost. A lot of scammers around. There's a woman on Facebook Market and she was selling a Ming Dynasty vase. I messaged her and I said, how do I know it's not made in China? How do I know? She said, no, it's 700 years old. I said, I don't want one that's been on the back shelf all those years. I want a brand new one. I got picked up by a UFO and they took me clothes off. I found out later they were having a hen's night. When my dad was dying, he gave me some advice. He gave me some advice when he was dying. He said, Arwin, come here, I want to give you advice. My dad had never given me advice. I said, yes, Dad, yes, Dad. He had a bit of dementia, a bit of Alzheimer's, a bit of home and away. You know, TV show? Yeah, a bit of all that going on. He said, Arwin, don't ever put a football in a bong. I said, yes, Dad. He said, because if you do, Bruce McAvaney will turn up in your socks drawer. I said, yes, Dad. Now, my dad's been gone 10 years. I'm not going to say I haven't been tempted. Of course I've been tempted. I've had the bong and the football side by side, but I've kept my dad's word to the dying end. Maybe the comedy course should have been 6 days instead of 5. Not sure. Okay, so I started licking the family cat, by the way. Started licking me first. I was just licking the head. My wife called me. She said, you haven't kept the marriage bed pure. She said, it's weird. I said, it would only be weird if I didn't have pants on. I said, it would only be weird if I didn't have pants on. You know, I went for a job to sell bedding. And I got there early and I thought I'd lie down on one of the beds and I dozed off. And the manager came out and she said, you've slept through the job interview. I had to give the job to someone else. I said, stop right there. Ring a current affair, ring 60 Minutes. This is the biggest story ever in bedding. Someone comes, lies down for a job interview, sleeps through the entire interview, and I love 40 wanks. I've always liked 40 wanks. This is a big story. She said, yes, the beds are comfortable, but they're not waterproof. I had anyone made a New Year's resolution? Yeah, I had a New Year's resolution many years ago that I would be drug affected, unemployed, and a gambler. Apart from a few bad years, I've kept that. When I was young, I ran away to the circus, and my parents wouldn't let me go. They said we were here first. Well, now that I've run the room into the ground, it might be time to hand you back to the host. You've been a great crowd. Thank you for supporting comedy. God bless them.